I could be loud, man, I could be silent. I could be young, man, I could be old. I could be a
The article that I have chosen to review today is about age discrimination in our workplace. I think age discrimination has become more dominant in our society because we live in a world that does not want to age. And this has been encouraged by media and advertising with suggestions such as plastic surgery, Botox, or just even advertising with a young, beautiful woman to represent a product. And this means that individual identities are constantly changing to conform with society's views. In this case, a grouping together of like-minded people form a collective identity and deciding not to accept age or aging in the workplace, especially for a woman. As you will see when I read the article, the community identity, or a range of smaller collective identities that are brought together, had formed a positive or a hegemonic view that age discrimination was not accepted in their community, and the case was won. I will be focusing my presentation towards primary school children and helping them to realise that positive ideas can be gained through understanding and knowledge of both difference and diversity. And this is my article. Former BBC presenter, a woman, won an age discrimination case against the corporation after losing her job on a rural current affairs program. The 53-year-old claims she was unfairly dropped from the BBC because of her age when it moved to a prime time slot. She took the BBC to an employment tribunal, arguing she was one of 4 women presenters over the age of 40 to be axed from the program, while their veteran male host was 68 and he kept his job. The panel heard allegations that the lady was warned by a director to be careful with those wrinkles and asked whether it was time for Botox. The primary claim which she has won was the age discrimination claim, and it was on the grounds that she was discriminated against her age and not her sex. Unfortunately, through a role of collective identities, of people encouraging discrimination, whether it be through age, sex or race discrimination, it will always be prevalent in today's society, and it is our job as educators to mediate that diversity. I'll be focusing my presentation towards primary school children today. What ideas do I have to teach the topic? Firstly, I will talk about discrimination and its meaning. Now, discrimination, according to the Collins Dictionary, means unfair treatment of a person, racial group, or minority. I will discuss how we come to form our identities and that we have what's called an axis of identity that we accumulate through our life, both through our experience and biologically. They have binary opposites at either end of the axis, binary meaning composed of 2 parts. And we have assumed our identity on one end of the axis, and on the opposite end we have the other, or what we are not. I would also talk about your own personal space, the space in which you can create that has rules, behaviour and morals that you adhere to while in this space. I would ask questions to the students of how they would act in their own space, such as school, and how people act towards them. I would also talk about national identity. Even though this article was not set in Australia, I still think it's important for children to know that all countries, different countries, form a national identity, and that society acts on this as one. Australia is a very proud country, and our national identity promotes pride, honour and respect, and these feelings come through past battles such as Anzacs, which have been glorified into iconic events that make us see Australia as the underdog, tough, or the Aussie battler. Difference can be positive and not always seen as a negative or a deficit. We need to look at it as something other than what we think the normal is and accept it in our society. It is the other and it differs from our own identity. Say, for example, in a community filled with multiple cultures, there would be many differences, such as people of different race, political views, social views, family views. However, assimilation and integration of these multicultures could be seen as a positive. This means that we could learn and grow from this integration, from new experience, from things we may have never encountered or quite understood. We as a society may come to realise that things may not just be black and white, but there may be a third sector, something of difference. Society needs to embrace multiculturalism as it seems to be increasing, and whether it be in our schools, workplace, or our social network, we have to work with it and not against it. As a transformative educator, I would ask the children to reevaluate how society sees ageing, and if they will change or reevaluate the identity or stigma that ageing in society has today, then I would introduce project identity to them. I think helping to overcome disadvantage and marginalisation with a community or classroom can benefit from learning about the advantage of project identity. There are 3 areas of identity, which is legitimising identity, resistance identity, and project identity. Now, legitimising identity is formed over many years and has become the normal, or what we have come to accept. Resistance identity can form to challenge an existing identity, to reinvent a new identity, if society conforms to these new views. It may be that the original identity has evolved over the years and part of that identity is no longer relevant or slowly anymore. It's changing slowly over time. So that's where project identity comes in. It's a new identity which is formed and built and created with our changing society. With this article, Miriam wasn't happy with the hegemonic view accepting her to be an old broadcaster. So she fought to overcome this view, or that of collective identities. And hopefully, with a positive outcome, has changed the legitimising identity about ageing in the workplace and has helped to change it into a project identity, which society will hopefully accept. A new identity that is relevant for today and for the future. I have to look at my own self and be wise with my beliefs and what I, as an educator, would bring to my own classroom. Difference and diversity is constant in the classroom, and it will have a huge range of race, class, and gender. I have to be aware not to discriminate or show bias, and also be aware that as an authority figure, they will copy me and take things that they have learnt home to discuss with their caregivers. I am to be supportive and nurturing towards the children in their learning. If their environment is one of encouragement, understanding, with no discrimination and lots of respect, I feel this is a positive step in education. I think that it all starts in the classroom with children in a few different areas. Critical pedagogies will be introduced to make the children understand that there are deeper meanings in what they learn and realise that knowledge is power and that they are able to make a difference. I will be aware of the hidden curriculum with books, posters, or any artefacts that I bring into the classroom. I will be aware that it may have an influence on students either consciously or subconsciously. These objects that children will see around the classroom will be non-biased, showing positive reinforcements in race, class, and gender, such as multicultural pictures, teamwork, the ageing still in the workforce, artefacts from our cultural history, and integrating these artefacts into the teaching in a positive and fun way. By doing this, I hope to reduce thoughts of discrimination and encourage integration, which will hopefully continue into adulthood and the community. I hope through this presentation that I have given some good ideas on how education may mediate difference and dominance. Thank you.